Okay, I figured out what I did wrong. I'm going to start this over. This is how to make a Pavlov VR map using Unreal Engine 4, starting from the very beginning for people that want to get into it but aren't really sure where to start. Now the first thing you need is to download Unreal Engine 4. I'm actually going to be following the Pavlov VR wiki, which you can see up here at the top. And some of the community members made this, and it's quite good. There are a couple things that might trip you up, as I just got tripped up and had to start over. So I'll try to cover the places where people might make mistakes and things that it doesn't necessarily mention. But you can follow along this guide here, which is what I'll be doing. The first thing you have to do is download Unreal Engine 4, which is this right here. This is the launcher. And you can just Google it or follow the link. And it'll take you to the page. Download it. And when you install it, you will get this launcher. And you still need to install the actual engine. And don't just click, you click the library on the left to get to this page. You also have to make an account and log in. And once you've done that, don't just click install, because that'll download the most recent version. Instead, you want to click add versions and change that to 4.15.3, which is what Pavlov runs on. And then hit install. Once you've done that, you will have what you need to run Unreal Engine, but you still need the Pavlov GitHub repository. That's the next step on here. You have to make a GitHub account. And I believe you also have to be logged into Steam when you try to download it, and the Steam account you are logged into has to have Pavlov VR. Otherwise, you won't be able to grab it. Or it fails at some point along the way if you don't have that requirement. So just go to the GitHub page. Show that over here. Download. You can download the zip. This will give you the most recent Pavlov VR workshop repository. Just going to open that zip. Apparently I already had it. All right, now the default place that it saves your Unreal projects is your user documents. And you can see I already have a bunch of projects. I'm going to make a new folder. We'll just call this Twitch test or Twitch map. What should I call it? All right. This is just to contain it. You can stick it anywhere and run it from there, but you want to keep it somewhat organized. And then you take your zip. Apparently there's a zip inside a zip. Here, we'll just put the zip in there from the other zip and then extract it here. Boom. Pretty simple. Get rid of that. And now you've got your Pavlov project. And now you could probably see on my Unreal launcher, I had a bunch of projects already. You can run it from here, but they're all called Pavlov. I don't believe you can change the name of it, but they'll have thumbnails, and you can also hover over it to see where they're stored. So you can see, like that one's Quarry. So you can also just run it from the folder if you go directly to the folder and just run the project. And that'll automatically load it up as if you clicked it on here in the correct engine. So that's loading now. It'll load up SteamVR. And your like Steam will show you as being in Pavlov, I think. It depends. Other people it shows them as being in Unreal. But yeah, basically I believe this is where you have to be logged into a Steam account that has Pavlov, because it is playing Pavlov really. This is what it looks like when you load up a new map in Unreal, and I'm already getting an error here. There's a couple of things that the Pavlov requires in order to make a map. And some of those things are, for example, there's a player start here. This is not the player start that you use, the spawn point, so you can delete that. There's a light source, which theoretically works, but Pavlov uses base lighting so that it runs better. And stationary doesn't do that. So you actually want to change that to static, because it's going to be static lighting. And also I'm getting an error here from atmospheric fog. It doesn't support atmospheric fog either. So this is all we really need. Delete those things. And this is what we're going to be starting with. there anything else I'm missing from the wiki? Yeah, we'll get to that later. Okay. Now we need to build a level. So we have a floor here. This is from the engine, you can see. Actually, the first thing we need to do, scratch that. We have a map here, but we don't have the Steam Workshop folder, which is what you're actually going to be uploading to the Steam Workshop when you're ready to create your map or publish your map. In order to do that, we need to go to Window, Pavlov Workshop. And this is where you do the testing and posting of your map to the Steam Workshop. And this is all automated thanks to Dave and the repository. So when you very first make a new map, the first thing you do is go to Setup and hit Create New once. Don't click it again. And that'll change it. And now in your, close that, what's called the content viewer, you'll have a custom maps folder. You can extend this so you can see the folder. This is the content folder in your, where's my ideally? I had a folder open. Awesome. Here, I have a shortcut over here. So where all your maps are, your user documents projects, in the one that we made, there's now a content folder. And in your custom maps, it created a UGC. And this is user-generated content with a number specific to this map that you're going to be using to upload to Steam. You need this. This is what it uploads to Steam. Everything that is part of your map has to be in this folder or it won't work. So when you go to custom maps here in the content browser, you'll see there's our UGC folder. Here's the definition. It creates automatically. You need this. And the reason I made note of this floor being part of the engine means that it's not in the UGC folder. This floor is a mesh. It's basically a shape that looks like that. And because it's not in the UGC folder, if I upload this to the workshop, this floor won't be here. Something that is in the UGC folder is this cube. Like you can pull stuff out of this to put it in the level. This cube is in the workshop, like in the content for some reason. You can put cubes in there and it works just fine. If you put like a cylinder, it doesn't work. It won't be there. So it's a little bit weird. Generally, you want to have your own meshes, although you can use cubes. And you can use brushes, which are really cool because you can shape them however you want and stuff. But, oops, deleted a face. So if you want to use something like a cylinder, you want to make sure that it's in your UGC folder. So let's say we want to put a cylinder here. Or the floor. Like we say we really like this floor. You want to use that instead. What you can do is browse to it. And oh look, it's right here in map templates, blah, 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 way down here. But we actually want it to be in UGC folder because we want to use it. So what we can do is grab it and drag it, oopsie, into the UGC folder and copy it here. And now we have a copy of it. It doesn't change what's already here. This is still in the engine, but you can click on this, which is now an identical copy of that, the mesh, and hit the arrow which says use what I have selected down here, and that'll change it. Not here because it's the exact same thing, but where it's actually located. The little stars here mean it's not saved. You want to hit save. Oh, we don't have a map yet. So this is my map right now. That doesn't exist. Let's get rid of all the rest of it. So my map is, I removed those things. It's just this thing, which we now made sure will actually load the light and the sky, which it starts with. So if you want to save that, you hit save and make sure you put it in, again, your UGC folder. And we're going to name it Twitch map. So that's our new map. It should be in here. There it is. And that is saved. And now that we have a map, we're going to get to the things that you have to have in order to post this. That's what I should be focusing on. In order to publish this to the workshop, there's a couple of things that you need to have and a couple of things that you should have. And the thing you need to have is a working definition and Pavlov logic actor. Game logic, there it is. These are all the things that are included with the GitHub repository, the workshop project, so that it makes map making easier. And you are required to have a game logic actor. It looks like a dinosaur head. For some reason, you won't see that in the game. And if you click on it, it'll tell you definition. And you have to point to the definition. And when you do this, it makes sure, basically, from what I understand, that the only thing that it's uploading is in the UGC, is from the UGC folder. If you don't do that, it'll upload extra garbage, like not useful shit that you would want, like like the cylinder and the stuff I told you about earlier that wasn't included, but like stuff that you've built and like your saved like screenshots you've taken, I believe, stuff like that. It just makes the map bigger for stuff that's not actually going to be used in the game. So we made it so that you have to have this. So you're going to point to your definition, and that's pretty much it for the logic actor. You can put this anywhere. It doesn't matter as long as it's in the level. And that's not all we need, because the definition right now is not doing anything. It has your UGC built in automatically, which is good, but it doesn't have your map. The label doesn't matter. This is what your map is going to show as in-game. And this is pointing to the actual level you've created. You can only have one level in a map. And the quickest way to do that is to just click on your map and hit the arrow. Of course, I guess you could probably also do the drop down. This will show everything though, like it's showing engine content too. Oh, so that's the Twitch map. You can put a thumbnail in here. You can change the description, but I believe that doesn't actually show in Steam. You have to change that separately. So that is the definition folder. We've saved that. We've pointed to our map, which we've saved, and we created our game logic actor and pointed it to the definition. So theoretically, this is ready to push to the workshop, but I don't think it would actually play because we don't have any spawns. There's a couple other things that you're required to have for it to actually be playable, and one of those is Pavlov spawn. And you can just drag that into the game. If you've never used Unreal at all, you can push space to switch between different types. This is transform, which means move. This is rotate, which I'm going to use to point it towards the center. And this is scale, which you don't want to use on the actor or on the Pavlov spawn, but you can use it on, like, for example, the floor. Let's say you want the floor to be bigger. You can just scale it up a little. That'll stretch your textures too, though, so be careful when scaling up meshes. You have to do annoying stuff to make that look right. Okay. Now we have our Pavlov spawn. You can also grab the middle and drag it, but it does stupid stuff. The Pavlov spawn, if it's clipping something, will tell you it's a bad size. And if you spawn here, you'll be like in the floor and stuck. And that sucks. So make sure that it's not in the ground. What you can do is drag it up above it and then hit end, and it'll drop it as far as it can without clipping. So that's our spawn. What else do we need to play? I'm pretty sure that is what we need. It'll spawn everyone on this one spot. The bots won't be able to move, but you will. And that'll be your map. So this is pretty bad map so far. We didn't even bake the lighting, but that's okay. This is the basics. This is what you absolutely need to know to be able to make a map. The other stuff is, well, what do you want to do next? Let's do the actual playing on the map. Like I said, the cubes work. You can drag cubes in. We're not going to do cubes, though. Let's do brushes. Brushes are the coolest. So you go to geometry on the left, and you can grab any variety of brushes, and they're a little more versatile. They're not as efficient to render, I believe, as meshes are, but you can convert them to meshes. So if you build your level out of brushes and then convert it to a mesh, that's a good way to build like a basic level if it's something that's simple enough to build. The brushes are basically like a 3D modeling program like Blender or whatever, 3D Max, only much weaker, but they're also really convenient in that you can do them right in the level. So let us make a pretty basic map, shall we? I'm not even going to mess with these. I'm just going to drag them around. Now we have some cylinders, or columns rather. Oh yeah, that looks good. Let's get some more Pavlov spawns, shall we? You can click on the one we have and copy and paste it. Oopsie. There we go. Rotate them around. And now there's 5 players per team. So we probably want at least 10. No, not that. Just copied the floor. Take care of what you're copying and pasting. I like to copy and paste stuff a lot because I'll get something how I want it. In this case, obviously they're identical, but if you have something that actually has settings that you want to keep, like for example, if I were to texture this cube and I wanted to make other cubes with the same texture, I don't want to just drag out a new one. But right now they're not textured, so it doesn't matter. Let me finish this. We're gonna get, I don't even need to face the right direction. You can see how many you have over here too. But yeah, the bots and players will all spawn pretty much randomly in Team Deathmatch on these spawn points. That's 9. Just for shits, let's put one like on top of this box here. Let's do all those. There we go. Perfect. That's going to be real fucking great to spawn on top of there. It's not a sitting duck at all. Okay, now we've got a bunch of spawns. Some of them are facing appropriately, some of them are not. Now we can select all these spawns, and there's a couple things you can do about that. Select all Pavlov spawns. Excellent. These spawns have some settings. You can set a team ID, which is useful for only team, and also special. Special is the S&D spawn. You need 2, if you want to have your map work in S&D, you need 2 special spawns, and one of them needs to be Team 0, which is blue team defenders, that starts as defenders, and the other one is Team 1, red team, that starts as attackers. And we can do that in a little bit. For now, let's just get it working for S&D, or for Team Deathmatch. For Team Deathmatch, you probably want to hit dynamic and not only team. You can do only team and have like 1/2 be only red and 1/2 be only blue, but that kind of opens the door to spawn camping. You have to be careful with that. Most of the maps just use dynamic, and that means anybody can spawn anywhere, and it's a huge clusterfuck. So we're going to do that. Now all these spawns are dynamic for Team Deathmatch. Fantastic. What else should we do? That's probably it. I believe this is going to run. Do we want to test it? Let's do it. We can go to Window, and like I said earlier, go to the Pavlov workshop. And the metadata is like your picture. It's basically the definition. You're uploading the definition, and so you can change your map description, your map name, don't change the UGC, and the thumbnail. You can even change the map, and that won't actually upload the map, though. It uploads the rest of this information so that it changes. You can use that if you just want to update, again, like your thumbnail or the description, stuff like that. The testing tab will create a copy of this map that'll only work locally for you. This is what you want to use to make sure it's working before you deploy it to the workshop. And you have to make sure you delete that before you actually want to play the game for real. Because if you have a copy of it locally and you're trying to play that map, like for example, if you've already published it and you want to play it online, it gets confused. For you, it'll show you your map. And for other people, they'll have the current live version. So it can be not so great. We're going to test this. We're going to stage it, and it's going to create that folder. And you can only have one staged map at a time. So this is going to overwrite whatever I was messing with earlier, the helicopter thing, I think. If anybody saw that. It's going to dots here until it's done. And then we're going to hop into Pavlov. Should be pretty easy. It's not going to be pretty, but it should work. Again, the bots aren't going to move. They're just going to spawn and stand there. But this is from not having anything to being able to at least test a map with the bare minimum of stuff. Cool. That's done staging. We're going to close it. And now you have to close UE4. Change this to There we go. Perfect. I'm going to close UE4. I guess I can show you that first. Because Steam VR is running. And it's confused because it's running the editor, but it thinks it's playing Pavlov. And so as long as you have this running, it's not going to load up any other 3D program. If you look into your VR headset, it's going to be like loading indefinitely as long as you're in UE4. So I'm going to put on my splash screen, which shows my maps. And when I load into Pavlov, that should change. Give me 1 second. So I'm closing UE4. Oh, wait, hold on. Whoops. Remember when I told you that if it shows a star on the bottom, it means it's not saved? These weren't saved when I staged it. And I believe that that means they weren't actually properly saved into the build. I've done this before where you thought you updated something and then built it, cooked it, whatever. So I tried to close it and it said, hey, these aren't saved. I'm going to cancel. You can just hit save there and then reopen it, or you can find those here. The reason it didn't save this, even though I copied it over and didn't actually change it, the way I found to work around that, if you see the star on a mesh like this, is just open it up and hit save. And then close it again. And then the Twitch map obviously is save your level. This one seems pretty obvious. Hit this button a lot in case UE4 crashes. It'll save the stuff you've done in your level. Now that those are saved, I can stage again. Sorry about that. That is staging. Then we're going to test it. We're going to go over a bunch of stuff later, like how to make it look prettier, how to make the bots move properly, how to make an actual good-looking level. I'm going to go over how to move stuff. We're going to texture things, although I'm not real good at making materials. They tend to look all right. You can also find materials online pretty easily, or like textures, at least. You can find a bunch of meshes too. Like I use Turbo Squid mostly, or you can just Google so-and-so mesh, like if you want, a skyscraper mesh. All right, that's done staging. And now I should be able to close it. Let me go back to my splash. Excellent. Okay, that closed. I'm going to put my headset on. Let me change my audio devices too so you can hear me. All right, changing the audio device now. Okay, going through the headset. All right, headset's on. If I did that correctly, you should still hear me. I'm loading up Pavlov at the moment. Shouldn't take too long. There we go. Pavlov is loading. Takes longer the more custom maps you have, and I have several, so it does take it a minute. Come on, Pavlov. There we go. Now we're in Pavlov. Looks like OBS is working. Okay, now when you want to test your map, you don't play online. Like I said, it stages it only for offline play. And then check the map, and it should be right there with the name that you picked. Select that. Let's see if it worked. There it is. We are in the game. See, these guys spawn stacked. The dynamic ones will do that. That's okay. We did it, boys. We made a map. It is super default. I can show you a couple problems with this map. One, they don't move, which we knew. I like that they spawn up there. It's funny. And another problem is we didn't put a kill volume or, an edge of the world. It's just kind of there. And I'll show you what the problem with that is that we will fall forever now. So we'll fix that too. I think that's enough for the first one. I can't even leave. Awesome. I done fucked up, boys.
Okay, we'll leave a different way. I'm going to close this video and I'll start a new one. This can be the first episode. I hope it was helpful to somebody.